Hello and welcome to this First Take Exclusives. I am Shea Cornett, joined by Vince Goodwill and Brian Windhorst. Let's get right to it. We go to the NBA. Another dominant night for Jaylen Brown Sunday as the Celtics beat the 76ers 114-98. Brown stuffed the stat sheet to the tune of 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 dimes. The win brings the Celtics record over the last 15 games to 12-3 as they now have a game-and-a-half lead over the Knicks for the 2 seed in the East. Now, despite the absence of Jayson Tatum, it hasn't been the worst thing for Jaylen Brown. In fact, he's thrived, averaging a career high in points, rebounds per game, and assists per game. So now this begs the question, should Jaylen Brown take a back seat for the Celtics offensively when Jayson Tatum returns, as he has earned being the top option going forward? What do you think? What should Jaylen Brown do, Vince?
The Boston Celtics have done something sneaky over the past month. I don't know if Wendy's even paid attention to it. They've been very sneaky, very shrewd. Peyton Pritchard started the first 48 games for them this season. And then on February the 3rd, he went back to the bench. Now, not to pull a Wendy, why did they do that? Did they want to take away the usage for maybe a player who can step right in, start taking 20 shots? Did they want Peyton Pritchard to get used to being back on that second unit? I think that's what they were doing. I think they want Jayson Tatum, or they're preparing for Jayson Tatum to come in and to be Jayson Tatum all over again. I don't know if that works for Jaylen Brown. He's used to taking the most shots. He takes the most shots in the league. He takes the most twos in the league. He has complete freedom and reign of that offense. The Celtics are a top 5 offense because it is functioned that way. For Jayson Tatum to come back 306 days after tearing his Achilles, that's not 588 days like Kevin Durant. That's cut in half. To expect Jayson Tatum, Wendy and Shea, to be the same Jayson Tatum that we last saw is completely unrealistic. I think this is a good test run for him next season. I don't know if this is a good run for him this postseason to be the #1 guy on a team that has real championship expectations. I think as a defender, as a rebounder, as a spot-up shooter, I think Jayson Tatum will be good there. But to ask Jaylen Brown to take a step back for a wild card, I don't see that, Wendy.
But wouldn't he have to take a small step back regardless of where you insert
Everybody
Jayson Tatum?
else takes step back. Everybody else takes their steps back. Not him. He's going to have the usage. You ask all these this is a very try-hard team. This is a team full of guys. This is not Drew Holiday and Porzingis and Al Horford. This is a completely new team put together on the fly and put together well, and they're overachieving. You ask the overachiever to take the step back. You don't tell the headliner to take the step back. Okay,
fair. Wendy?
This is, with all due respect, this is a classic first take discussion because I don't think this is something that, Joe Mazzulla doesn't come in and go, Jaylen, take a step back, sir. Like it doesn't work that way. We'll say this. It is an awkward situation. It's really unusual for, a player like Jayson Tatum's stature to come in and the guy who he, sort of left because of the injury is having a career year. And you're going to do it potentially in the part of the season where all of it is magnified. I agree that it is not going to be clean, and I would expect there to be bumps in the road. I would expect, there to be situations where Jaylen isn't really sure about what his role might be and how it might change, and Jayson isn't sure where he should step into it. But I actually think this is kind of a no-brainer. Of course he's going to take a step back, and it's not going to be like, Jayson, you're a better player, so you step up, young man. Like I know that's what we would love to have in First Take, but that's not really how it's going to go. The truth is that any team that has the player who shoots the most in the whole league is in a little bit of trouble when you go into a playoff series. Because in a playoff series, when the other teams can totally dedicate all of their preparation for a single player, you are susceptible. Now, if that player is prime LeBron James, there's not much you can do. But it will be healthy for the Celtics, assuming Tatum comes back, that Jaylen Brown's role comes down a little bit. It will not be clean, but it will be healthy. You do not want him taking 25, 28, 32 shots in a playoff game. That is what the opposition wants to do. They can control you easier. He is not an unstoppable force like prime Wilt Chamberlain. So the Celtics have already proven the concept that with Jaylen and Jayson that they are a championship team. They have proven this year that this team is still built out very well 1 through 8, 1 through 9. This to me is being made too complicated. It's already going to be a little bit awkward enough. Of course, Jayson Tatum's going to come in and take his place back on where he was, where he was sharing the load.
I'm sure Jayson Tatum wants to take his corners back. Shout out to the Wire. But I don't know if that's best for him as far as his own recovery. Like, we assume player comes back from injury, player's going to step right in naturally to where he was. And with the advances that we've made as far as Achilles injuries and ACLs, it's fair to assume that. But he's coming in at the tail end of the basketball season, during the heaviest month of the year, March, where everybody's playing 15, 16, 17, 18 games in 31 days. There's going to be a lot of, like Wendy said, clunkiness. But if I'm the Celtics, I want to ease him in. I don't want him to feel like he has to be the guy. He already feels like he has to be the guy. He already feels like something was taken away from him unnaturally, not like his game fell off, not like he failed. He had an injury that happens, and he would naturally want to come back in and be exactly who he is. So it's going to be on the Celtics to exercise some prudence here and to not get too happy. And here's why, Wendy, and you know this like I know this. Jayson Tatum is on a $300+ million contract. Jaylen Brown is on a $300+ million contract. These two guys, assuming that they are going to stay together, you have a future that you have to consider where you want to be a championship contender for the next 3 to 4 years. And you don't want to do something this year trying to chase what you consider to be an open Eastern Conference and set yourself back for your own future. It's the same question that we asked about Tyrese Halliburton after that Game 7 against the Pacers, where it cost him this season with that Achilles. Not that he would re-injure it, but you don't want to make something already unnatural even more clunky for an already questionable future.
Today is March 2nd. Think about how different and how much more we know and how everything in the NBA has changed since January 1st. Just, all the stuff with the trade deadline. James Harden was a Clipper. Jimmy Butler was healthy. Giannis, we didn't know if he was going to finish the season. We could go on and on. 2 months, right? It's a lot can change in 2 months in the NBA. The second round of the NBA playoffs starts on or about May 1st, give or take. April 30th, May 3rd, whatever. That is when the Celtics have got to be at their best, because in the second round in the Eastern Conference, that's when things are going to get hairy. That's when Jayson Tatum theoretically needs to be at his best. Think of how much time we have between now and then, okay? That is the runway. And that is really the only thing that's going to matter. If the Celtics lose in the first round because Tatum is not 100% misfiring, they weren't winning it anyway. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be 2 teams or more, but at least 2 teams in the Eastern Conference that are going to go home in the second round who think that they could win the East or have expectations to win the East. The second round's when you got to have it going. That's when you got to be at full power. I'm going to give the Celtics those 2 months. I'm going to give Jayson Tatum those 2 months. And then we can evaluate who's sitting in what seat in the car.
Wendy loves operating on hope. I love Wendy.
I feel like all of Boston is going to operate on hope with this situation. It feels like without Jayson Tatum, we don't feel like they could win the chip. With him, they at least have a strong chance. Right now, Celtics plus 300 to win the Eastern Conference. That's the second shortest odds in the East. Thank you very much for watching this First Take exclusive. Make sure to tune in weekdays on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll see y'all tomorrow.